Welcome to the Rally of Scotland, the penultimate round of this year's IRC season. And what a way to draw a season to a close. A dramatic backdrop, beautiful in all respects. The rallying has been equally as impressive. Day one, 16.72 kilometres. It was all about the challenge in the dark. Day two saw glassy surfaces with the drivers struggling for grip. And what about the run for home? Well, time to focus minds as the cloud has lifted. Excuses running out from those further down the order. It's time to do or die. The beautiful Stirlingshire and Perth and Kinross are our backdrop for the Rally of Scotland. It has been an absolute pleasure to be here, and today, well, we're starting off our live coverage with Stage 11. A couple of runs already gone through. In fact, Stage 10 is just still being completed as we come to you live. So we'll be going over to the start of Stage 11 in around about 9.5 minutes' time. Drivers' Championship, as you can see, but if you look further down the order, in 6th place at the moment on 74 points is Andreas Mikkelsen, and he starts our day as leader. He's had a stunning run here. Sadly, we can't say the same thing for Guy Wilkes. He's going to be out of the points surely after picking up that 6-minute delay due to spinning off earlier on. Skoda leading the manufacturers' standings as we come here to Scotland. It's a closing battle with Peugeot, and they still have hopes, despite some hiccups for Mikkelsen as well. So how do we get here? With a raucous start, the fans turned out in their hordes, and Guy Wilkes, bit of a focus. If it is anybody's home rally, it is his, and he came straight out of the box into the night time and looked very, very quick indeed.
Very early in the rally, and it was important to make a good start on home ground, and we did it. You know, it was a very tricky stage. We're focusing quite hard on this rally, and you know, we just need to relax and do our job, what we know we can do.
Well, Guy Wilkes knew that Mikkelsen was reducing the gap stage by stage and just felt he had to push a little bit more. And the next day, day two, well, that's exactly what he did. And sadly, it was not to be. Mikkelsen sailing by him, as you saw. We did slow the pictures down there, incidentally. He did not lose much time. And, well, the pace about the man has been so impressive. He just can't stop taking stages, despite having some big moments himself on a rather skittery surface. 4 best stage times out of 5, and a man looking so confident.
Now, many times in Hungary and San Remo, so I won't take the victory before we're in the finish. So okay, we have a good gap, and it should be enough, but you never know. It's one puncture, one spin, and there you go. So we'll see.
Looking good reasonably early on as well was Brian Bouffier. He in fact won stage 5 and was getting a lot of top 5 finishes, the Monte Carlo winner. Yes, with Wilkes' misadventure, moving up to 3rd overall, finishing the day 2nd after Neuville's problems on stage 7. Well, some big names here, and you'd be hard-pushed to find bigger than Euro Hannanen, starting the day 2nd overall, and that's day 2, I might add. But difficulties finding a good rhythm. And in fact, he was really angry with himself, setting the car wrongly ahead of service, made some changes and improved his speeds a little bit later on. As for Thierry Neuville, starting 5th overall on day 2, 3rd time on 3, climbed from 5th to 3rd overall. Unfortunately for the Belgian, 2 spins on 7, damaging the left rear bumper, and he lost 52 seconds. He's also on a fight back, but equally, perhaps thinking the longer game as we come into the final day. We'll take a break. We're back live here on Rally Scotland after this. Welcome back to Scotland. We are at High Corrie, about to get that underway. Been a couple of runs through. We've had Loch Chon earlier on today. We started off with Carron Valley, and there is our lives today. Incidentally, the second stage, High Corrie, later on today, is available on the Eurosport player. If you haven't got that, then you'll be able to see it this evening, don't forget. So check your listings for that. But we are live now, and let's have your company. Mickelson then at the start here leads by 48 seconds ahead of Hannon, who swapped places with Bouffier after a very strong run earlier on this morning in the first run through the Carron Valley. The field are still completing Loch Chon as we talk to you right now. So you're going to have to wait to see the results of 9. We'll bring you those as best as we can throughout. However, keep your eyes focused on the road. I think that's the watchword for the drivers as well, Andrew.
It is indeed, yeah. Our man down on the start line there is David Bogey, waiting to go, and this is what he's going to be going into.
So the final day then, and our first section of live coverage. Now just look at the climbs and falls here. There is nothing straight about this. It's like taking a piece of well-cooked spaghetti and throwing it at the wall, and that would be your map. So 3 intermediate times. We'll do our best to keep you in touch with that. As you can see, the cloud has lifted and revealed this beautiful verdant backdrop. In the woodlands here, it's like the finest Axminster carpet, except it's green moss. It's absolutely beautiful. You could fall over here 100 times and you wouldn't hurt yourself. It's that soft underfoot. As for the roads, well, they have been topped by the looks of things. And everyone is saying that grip levels are absolutely perfect, which means if a rally driver is happy, you get good rallying. And here they are.
So David Bogey then, he's going to be taken to the start in a few moments' time, followed by Gardemeister with the hand-cooked shod Skoda.
Yeah, he says he's happier with grip. Nikara's running well in class as well. Kopetsky, I think, could do better is probably the watchword. Sandell is also a happy man. He's got a smile on his face.
He is indeed. Maybe not such a big smile as Breen. Fantastic run for the Irishman here.
Yes, they're circumspect, I think, Noiville, after a spin which took him down the order. Hannanen is on a charge. Bouffier, our Monty winner, says this demands respect, and the man who has the most of all has to be Mickelson. Goodness gracious me. It's our first visit live, and what a guy to start us off. Bogey has been brilliant.
He's been brilliant this year, certainly 3-time Scottish champion in a row. He's also British champion this year too. And he last night he was complaining that he hadn't had any cuts done on his tyres, and he's in a bit of a battle with Nikara, who's currently leading the Group N class. Nikara is saying his cuts are really good. So, you know, Bogey may struggle here. He took a couple of seconds off Nikara on the previous stage, but Nikara is a good 18 seconds clear now. So that's the battle really for Group N, is between those two. Absolutely.
We have no on board with Bogey, I've got to tell you, but we do have the helicopter, so it'll be a long view of that. Same deal for Tony Gardemeister, who comes up next, so you'll be able to see the beautiful backdrop that makes up this wonderful part of the world. Well, our friends here in Stirlingshire and indeed Perth and Kinross have been treated most definitely to some great rallying, and it goes on as Bogey gets himself off the line and gets himself into stage here. It'll be a long call. You're not going to see any drivers' hands in action this time by, certainly with Bogey and Gardemeister. But Andrew Colley will be more than adept at calling you through the forest here.
What a view, Carlton. I mean, it's stunning scenery. Unfortunately, David Bogey and Kevin Ray won't have a lot of time to look at it, but wonderful helicopter shots, and just gives you a great idea of the terrain these guys are facing. This is the longest stage of the rally, I believe, as well. So it's going to be a tough one for them. Coming towards the end now, the S2000 cars, of course, they've got loads of travel. They can take big cuts, and the Group N cars can't. So it's a little bit harder on the Group N cars, these events, but Bogey and Nikara have been locked in battle, haven't they, really, for the whole weekend? Yeah, you'll see some long chats on the suspension here as they cut the corners. They're feeling more confident about grip levels here. It's almost as if the surface has come to them. The back end on the longer vehicle here, just swinging wide just a little bit there, Andrew. Stunning driving from Bogey. You can see he's been in the car. You didn't even do a test for this event. He's just tied up the British Championship with a run on the track rod rally, so no testing. Came straight to the event cold and jumped in the car to go. He knows the car very well.
Yeah, he handles this longer vehicle beautifully. Local knowledge pays massive dividends for Bogey. It's a shame he didn't get an S2000. Just couldn't get the package he wanted to. And just look at the way it makes mincemeat of some of the potholes that we have along the way naturally on an unmetal road.
It's a great car, the Evo 9. It's been a staple of rallying in Group N for a long time now. There is the Evo 10, of course. I don't think we've seen any of those on this event, so it's still a good car, this. And as I say, been proven this year. Bogey's had a great reliability record.
Well, you know, Bogey on the stage 9, we have got his times through, beat Tony Gardemeister, so he's had some big names behind him. Jan Kopecki finished that one a couple of places behind him as well. He's also beaten those he likes to go toe-to-toe with and compare himself to, I think, on a more regular basis like Craig Breen. Now, we are going to stay with Bogey here because of the lack of on board with Gardemeister. It's a technical issue, so apologies for that. We can't send the helicopter back to see Gardemeister because you just see beautiful countryside. It might be good news for Visit Scotland here, but it wouldn't be very good news for you guys downstairs. So you're going to get a long view here, right the way through the stage, of a man at peace with his machine.
I think a quick word for the helicopter pilot, Carlton. Everyone was commenting yesterday. We saw some wonderful shots from the onboards yesterday of the helicopter down almost below the tree line. Fantastic pilots we use. Bogey down to a junction right there, uses every inch of the road right the way out to the side. You can see some grip changes here, different colours on the road.
Well, earlier on in 9, he said it was he'd really been enjoying himself. I think we've just cleaned the surface, essentially, he says. But I'm more than delighted with the way the car's going, and he really is full on here.
Absolutely wonderful shots. Never seen such a long shot from a helicopter. It's fantastic. It really does give you, you know, when you're at home, I think sometimes it's hard to understand the distances which you cover in the forest. You know, so if you can imagine driving flat out as fast as you can for 20 miles up a piece of road that you saw just a couple of times 2 days previously to do your recce, you know, this gives you a good idea of the sort of challenges you're facing, the distance which you're covering.
Gardemeister already on the road, Nikara up as well. We're getting our splits from Bogey as we follow him all the way through this one. It's oh, lovely job. Now that is where you need confidence and perhaps just a little bit of knowledge. We do have an on-board with Nikara and for the remainder of the field, so I suspect we'll be staying with Nikara just a little bit to see how it looks from the driver's view here.
Oikein täys yli, jatkuu oikein täys miinus, 3 vasen täys lyhyt. Ja nyppy 5 oikein loiva, 2 vasen eri. Ja oikein helppo, 4. Vasen helppo ja oikein täys lyhyt. Ja vasen täys lyhyt, 4 vasen täys miinus lyhyt, pikku sumppu 5.
And all of a sudden it's a completely different view. The cuts that he's taking here, magnificent. He is a Finnish rally regular, don't forget. He was on the Twingo R2 in Manx in the BRC as well, so he gets around a bit and he's getting around the surface a little bit here as well. He's also on a full charge here. Mitsubishi Lancer Evo for Nikara, with Petri Nikara alongside him.
Yeah, Nikara's been doing the Finnish Championship this year. He had a recent win on the Finnish Championship, so he's a gravel man. He's also done the Pirelli Star Driver in the WRC. You know, this is a guy with a lot of experience, but I understand not quite as well funded as some of the Finnish drivers are.
We pick up Gardemeister with our bird up top here. Gardemeister went for thinner tyres yesterday, said that he was more at ease with that. It's amazing just how the balance has changed, he says, particularly at the back end. So, well, make sure that's your focus as you watch Gardemeister on the right-hand side of your screen from the helicopter. Watch his back end, if that's not too rude. As for Nikara, well, with the big green devil as he's got here in his Mitsubishi, you see the cuts that he's taking, stuff that people, that regular drivers just would never even think of. These guys, it's completely workaday.
So back with Gardemeister here, you mentioned the narrower tiles, Carlton. We should explain as well, when we say narrower, you're talking a centimetre, maybe 2 centimetres. when they go for a narrower tread, it's to get more of the weight of the car over less of a footprint on the tyre. That cuts down through the mud a little bit more. Of course, it then comes down to what cuts you're using on the tyres, and people have been taking different cuts to modify the tread pattern of the tyre to try and get a bit of grip on these slippery Scottish roads.
Well, our friend from, I think it's Samurit's Helicopters, actually, I may be wrong, I'll double check that for you, doing a superb job here. I think Gardemeister may even be wind assisted on occasion. Watch the top of the trees, fellas. That's an expensive Westcam that we're dealing with here. Well, finally, you're seeing some of the drama of the scenery that we get around this part of the world. For outward bounders, it's absolutely marvellous. We take the rally to it to avoid disturbing any of the fauna here. You don't want to upset the wildlife, of which there is plenty in this part of the world. Caught a couple out, I'm afraid, some stray deers on stage 1 in the night time, stages 1 and 2. Thankfully, it's been the wildlife is keeping well clear.
So we're getting some news in as well from stage 10. As we said, stage 10 is just finishing now. It looks as though Neuville has lost a bit more time. He seems to have lost about 1 minute and 13 on the leaders, which obviously is an unusual gap. So Neuville falling down the leaderboard, and obviously we'll find out more about that when he arrives at this stage. So the top drivers are still going through special stage 10 now. It's a very short road section to this one, stage 11.
Once again, I've got to tell you that Hannon is not a happy boy after 10. He's just finished and said, I just can't hold on to the rhythm. The grip's changing just too often for me. He's getting frustrated, and the reason is he's climbing up the order, finds himself in second place as we come into this one, and really wants to make a big leap forward. He's got a tall order on his hands, though, I'm afraid to tell you, because Mikkelsen is looking so comfortable at the moment. Then again, we've said that before.
Mikkelsen, he was desperate for the win. Everybody knows that. He said, at the top of the show there, I want a win before the season is finished. Everyone can understand that. You can see there the crest that Nakara came over. It's important to have your notes right when you're on a crest. When the tree line disappears from the side of the road, here you can see the tree lines. You can see roughly where the road's going to go. But when you come to a crest and the tree line changes direction, you've got to make sure your notes are perfect. But
yeah, you can see as well the light changes here. We've just instructed the camera to open its retina. It does so. Almost looks like a summer's day. Very briefly, of course. Drama in the skies as well as down on the road here. Oh, you can hear. Wasn't happy about that.
Hooks a wheel right over the inside of the road there. Bit of ditch hooking, bit of good old-fashioned ditch hooking. That's what we like to see. Not so easy in these cars. I say the S2000 cars can take bigger cuts than the Group N cars.
Well, the international expression, woo, on display. Lovely flying motion here. Sweeping through the curves here. Glorious view. Kopecky then on course right now. Now, we usually have thought that Kopecky would mean business, but he's not had the happiest of runs, I've got to tell you. And in fact, in the last stage, he was a good deal slower than Dave Bogey, than Gardemeister, Nakara. So Kopecky has got to find something here. It would be tragic, I think, if Hannonen, every time he came up against him, was actually performing, and Kopecky went on to win. Well, we believe these times are correct. We've had to scrub a couple from the intermediate times because of relay problems, which explains why we had to start off with the helicopter only.
Kopecky was 7th overnight. To increase his lead in the championship, he needs to get a decent result. He didn't have a very good result in San Remo. He struggled to find the rhythm here. And yeah, we're not being over hard on him. It's not his preferred surface, but these are the best drivers in the world which he's up against. And he just hasn't managed to find a rhythm with the car. It's quite surprising, I think.
Well, Skoda have knocked holes, let's be brutal about it and honest, in Johan Hannonen's programme. He's missed 4, don't forget, Hannonen, and he's functioning well here, even if he's upset with his own performance. I don't know what Kopecky is going to have to say about himself at the end of this one.
No, Kopecky did a lot of prep for the rally. He watched Juho's onboards from last year. There was a bit of a laugh at the press conference as well when Juho said, oh, of course, I'm here to support Jan, and Jan dug him in the side and they both laughed. So Juho insisted there are no team orders for this event, but they also both insisted that nobody knows who's going to Cyprus. So we'll see.
Yes, and that will be the last call, essentially. It'd be very hard for them not to send Hannonen if and I don't want this to happen, something happens to Mikkelsen along the way, and Hannanen makes up the gap that he trails him by overall at the moment.
Points and a half, don't forget, for Scotland, and double points for Cyprus. So plenty of chance for the overall championship to change. Kopecky there, cautious on the exit of that slippery left-hander.
Ominously, Mikkelsen has just finished 10, and he said that he's not at the maximum, but that's okay, he says. In fact, Mikkelsen's second behind Sandell, who went brilliantly through that stage. So, beware everybody, I think.
Yeah, difficult for Mikkelsen. Not, you know, it sounds easy, doesn't it, when you've got a great big lead and all you're doing is defending that. I mean, he's 48.5 seconds ahead of Hannanen after the previous stage, but it's not easy because you're trying to find a rhythm. If you don't lean on the car, it doesn't work. If you don't lean on the tyres, they don't grip. So if you back off too much, you're just as likely to make a mistake as if you try very hard.
Exactly what Guy said as well. Unfortunately, he did take an extra step. Just look at this. You know, it doesn't matter what you say about it, and you talk about the minutiae of it all. It is detail. That's what it's all about, rallying, however. But this, well, this big picture speaks for itself. Let's get back on board. You know, there's something about the Slavic and Scandinavian languages that just mean, just sound right in rallying, isn't it?
I've got a translation with me, actually, for the finished place notes. I've been desperately trying to understand the gaps between the words to try and pick up some of the translations, but they speak so quickly that it's very hard on the place notes to try and pick it out. I've managed to pick out a couple of numbers, which unfortunately is not very interesting.
And indeed a couple of swear words. Craig Breen is out on course.
Breen, there he is then. So Breen looking for a great result. He had a fantastic result down in Zlin. He was 7th. And here he's locked in a battle with Sandell, and Sandell was second quickest on the previous stage, stage 9, and first on special stage 10. So he's suddenly found some pace, Sandell. So Craig Breen this year doing the WRC Academy. He won a round. He's missed a round as well. In France, he was leading, and he broke a drive shaft when he hit a bank. But very promising. He's done a lot of stuff in the SWRC car too. He's a great young hope for the Irish nation. Yeah,
we're also hearing that Sandell's time has also not been got back to the data point, I'm afraid, on that first split. So something missing until we get the finish times here. And as you can see, it's a long old course there. Breen has just gone through the first of the intermediate splits. So no first split on Sandell or Gardemeister, I'm afraid to tell you. So comparisons will have to come a little bit later. Wow.
So we're not hearing the notes, but you can hear the car. This is the very latest evolution of the Fiesta S2000 that M Sport have given to Craig. He used that as well in Zlin, and they made some improvements to the engine and to the dampers. And Craig was saying to me before the event started, they do think it is now a match for the Skoda and the Peugeot. Look at the suspension travel as well at the front end. You can see just how much travel these S2000 cars have got compared to the Group N machines.
Oh, BRC wins, WRC Academy, of course, and well, he's matching Patrick, but, well, I say that until this morning. Patrick has just taken an enormous step forward. Patrick Sandell is beating everybody at the moment. I don't know what he's done to his vehicle. He'll be the one I'm more than fascinated to hear from at the end here, just to see what he's actually done to the vehicle and why it's he's so at peace. On board with Neuville. Now, he's been a little bit unsure on this looser surface, to say the least. He took a couple of spins yesterday, tumbled down the order, and it's about retrieving points, I think, and possibly confidence as well.
Well, I was really impressed with him yesterday, Carlton. Only his 4th event on gravel in a four-wheel drive car. Okay, he's setting 3rd, 4th, 2nd fastest times, and then, as we saw, we were live yesterday for the second run through FT, and he had 2 spins, and he lost a whole load of time. Lost reverse gear as well. Yeah,
he did, and his times continue to tumble, I'm afraid. He's finished 14th with plenty of other cars still to come. That was on the last stage, stage 10, Loch Chon. Well, he's here now. We'll find out what his problems have been, because clearly he's got them.
great shots from the helicopter. There's that crest again, which we've seen with everyone, that deceptive crest where the tree line disappears off to the right.
Just waiting for some notes to come through on what Nova said at the back of the last one. Guy's already talked. He said it was very, very slippery and he had a bad feeling out there. Any news?
Not that I'm aware of. One bit of news we got before the start of the event, of course, was Neuville. He spoke to us, didn't he, at the press conference about the way he's altered his pace notes this year and what a difference that's made to him. He's added length and radius to the corners as well. So he's made his notes more complicated, but it's a better description of the road. And if you look at the change in pace from last year, I think it's been worthwhile for him.
Well, with Sandell doing so well, it seems the Scandinavians really coming to the fore. Last stage, Guy Wilkes complaining about it being very, very slippery and had a bad feeling, he said. But Patrick Sandell, Mikkelsen, Hannanen, they're running very well. There you 1, 2, 3. David Bogie, of course, knows these roads very well, being the local. He finished the stage in 4th place ahead of Gardemeister, Nikara and Kopetsky. So very much those who come from challenging areas are finding it easier to deal with, I think you might say.
Just on board with Neuville there a minute ago, you could see the kind of impacts these cars can take. You wouldn't dream of taking that huge bump on the left-hand side of the road. We saw it yesterday. We were on board with Anderson coming downhill, and he literally smashed the right-hand side of the car over a hump, which you just couldn't do in a Group 10 car. Bogey with the rear wheel missing.
Oh dear, oh dear. Hatton's going, he's going to drag this through the stage, but what a shame. What a shame. He was taking some big cuts, and we were talking about the back end slewing out, and it's clear that that's where the impact has been. What a shame.
Bad news as well. Home. Sorry, Carlton, I've just had a message through. Sandell retired. He crashed after the flying finish of the previous stage. I wondered, he hasn't appeared in the overall results, so Sandell went quickest on 10 and binned it after the finish. So big news in the top 10. Let's hear from Bogie what happened here.
David, what happened to you? Having a real good run through the stage, and the car just slid slightly wide in a corner, and there was something hard in there. So we continued for maybe another 4 or 5 Ks, and the wheels either came off or dragging. So very disappointing, but that's rally.
Well, he clearly doesn't know that Sandell has gone, I don't think. Flew through the finish line and then got it very, very wrong. Patrick Sandell on 10, which was being completed as we began here, live on 11, so forgive us for that. But you're first to hear the news. Sandell is out of the rally. What a shame. What a shame after taking 10 and finishing runner-up on 9. It shows you can be bitten at any point, and that's exactly what we said about Bogie in the back end. It was slewing out on the longer vehicle. Keep it tight, keep it sensible. Oh, goodness me, this place will bite you.
Gardemeister down towards the finish. His car in one piece. He'll be moving up a couple of places. Bogie will have lost a handful of time with his problems, and of course Sandell now disappeared, so we'll have a look at the top 10 once we've got everything confirmed.
Gardemeister's time then, 34 seconds. It's a big bite. It would naturally be. He's still got 4 wheels on his wagon. Service park, of course, coming up after this.
Tony, the longest stage of the rally, how did you feel inside this stage?
Sorry?
It was the longest stage of the rally. How did you feel at the wheel?
On the driving wise, it felt that it doesn't come so well because, you know, we have still something on the rear, you know, we was quite loose. But I tried to push and we was few corner a bit wide. But it was nice stage to drive, you know, very, I would say, very enjoyable. And the grip was quite okay. Only there was, again, like in previous stage, 3-4 very, very, very slimy corner because a lot of water.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Back with Hannanen. He could talk on forever, clearly, if it's about grip levels, which is great. Let's get on board with Hannanen, shall we, and enjoy this for a while.
Huomio vasen täys ja nyppy 2 vasen ja oikein nopea pitkä kirraa. Älä lopussa. Ja vasen miinus pitkä. Toista vasen miinus pitkä. 250.
I've found a word that I can understand, Carlton, finally, Kira. Kira, which I can't roll as well as they can, means tightens. And if they have Kira, then it tightens a lot. And Kira Eriks, it tightens so much that it becomes a note below. So we're getting there. We're learning some Finnish bass notes finally. I love the Finnish bass notes.
Yes, Nikara coming in to take his time now at the finish.
He won't know about bogey, of course, and that's going to be him very safe at the top. In fact, he goes quicker than Gardemeister. Another great run by Nikara.
Superb. And remember, Gardemeister was more than pleased as well, so the Finns really are enjoying it. They said it's very similar to the 1,000 legs. Maybe not as many jumps.
Bozija just had a big problem in the stage, meaning that you are now at ease leading the Production Cup classification.
I don't know, we have some problem with front suspension. There is some knocking sound at the moment. So
you did the fastest lap in the fastest time in the stage, 8 seconds in front of Tony.
Okay, that's good.
Not so bad.
Not so bad. I tried to push very hard, so hopefully this is not going to break.
Let's hope not. A little bite of joy there.
Yeah, remote service next. This has been a long leg. They've had 3 stages in a row. As I say, this one was a long one. He's obviously got a noise there, which he's concerned enough about that he's not so comfortable as we thought at the front of Group N. It does just go to show you this will not be over until the very end of the final stage.
It's Bouffier, winner in Monte Carlo. It's a bit different here. Has been a stage winner, though, don't forget. Took stage 4 on day 2. Has been hovering around the top 5 again and again. But Bouffier was not as pleased this morning, I've got to say. He's just dropping off the pace ever so slightly. And in fact, Hannanen swapped places with him at the first stage this morning. And so he finds himself 3rd overall coming into this one, Brian. Yes, just before he started, he said it was very tricky, not easy at all to find the grip. He's doing a good job here, though.
He's had a good run, Bouffier. He really hasn't had any problems or mistakes.
Sort of flustered, isn't he?
Yes, and he was before the start. It was very calm. Kopecky down at the finish line now. But yeah, Bouffier, good run, and I think as well, great pace on gravel. And he'd been sitting in 2nd right up until Hannanen picked him this morning.
This is going to be an important benchmark, really, for Kopecky here. He's got to find something clever, and he's only 3rd quickest so far.
Behind Nikara again, and Gardemeister.
Yeah.
So not going to be the points haul which would really have made him the firm choice as your man for the championship, but he still leads by a margin.
Not even the firm choice if they're only going to send one to Cyprus. They'll almost be embarrassed, I think, if they only take it.
What will be your tactics for today, being as close as possible to Neuville for preserving the championship?
No, it's quite difficult, you know, it's first time for us, and a few places the notes are not completely perfect, so it could be a big risk, you know, to push in the first pass, and okay, what we can do, it was not a good weekend for us.
Oh dear. Suddenly blaming the notes, and as he did so, the co-driver, his head dropped.
What is interesting, I think when he says notes aren't right, I think he probably means he's written them wrong himself on the recce.
Possibly.
So, you know, having not done so much gravel stuff, it is, you know, the way you write the notes for gravel and tarmac, obviously they're different in the way the roads are constructed. Normal tarmac roads, there are many more obvious reference points sometimes.
So, there we are. What drama we've had here. Sandel going off on the flying finish, damaging his suspension. He's out of the rally. That's just before the start of this one. We were already into this stage when that news came through. What a shame.
Enormous rock,
Bouffier. He's got him.
It was an enormous rock on the left-hand side of the road. He tried to avoid that, fired him off the sump guard.
Oh, he's still going. Has he got the feeling? We'll find out right now. I hope we can stay on board. Still looks straight.
Perfect example there, Carlton, of cars pulling out rocks. You know, we've seen some medium. That rock was enormous. It was football-sized, and he had no chance to avoid it. He'd pitched the car in on his line, he'd chosen his line, and it fired him right up into the air. So I think it hit the sump from the way the car was launched rather than the suspension or the tyre, but we'll wait and see what he says at the end of the stage. My goodness me.
Well, he's not holding back at all here. Instinctively feeling the car, mapping that out in his brain, and just still going for it here, still pacing.
He'll be watching the oil pressure light to see whether or not there's been any damage to the sump. Hopefully not. I mean, these cars are very, very strong, but it was a big hit.
We've had some moments today, haven't we? Well, we knew this story hadn't fully been told as we come into the final day. Run for home it may be, but time to focus minds as well.
And Mikkelsen, of course, is next through the stage, so that rock right on line. Fingers crossed he'll be able to avoid that. I must say, I'd really like to see Mikkelsen win this event. I think he deserves a win. I think he's been involved in some great battles this year, and on this event, you know, he's wiped the floor with everyone. I think it would be great to see him win here.
I think so. It's overdue, isn't it?
Yeah, very much.
Anderson stopped in the stage, we're hearing. It goes on. The attrition rate so high today. And there we are on board with him. PG, what a shame. Well, we're hearing that it is a likely technical issue. I hope that's not guesswork. Yes, we'll try and get a deeper report on that for you, but stopped in stage certainly.
He was in 11th position overall, so he won't be affecting it too much. Looking at the splits, we're not sure here that everybody is on the split time, so don't take it too much as gospel.
PG on the Proton would have been a solid top 10 because of those in front of him that are having their issues. It would have been a terrific run for him. What a shame. Well, we stay here. All vehicles, it seems, having issues. And Beaufier in his Peugeot 207 amongst those. Breen then coming to the end. Come through nicely by the looks of things.
So Breen was in 4th overall before this. This would be a fantastic finish for him in the M Sport Fiesta S2000. Interested to see what he's got to say. 4th on the stage and 13 seconds down.
Downstairs we go. Deary me, he's caught something along the way.
You've a superb position overall. How do you manage this?
We have a problem now. We have a problem with the engine. We have a problem with the engine. It's not running on 4 cylinders, and we're losing so much time now. I hope to God we can fix it. It's just on 3 cylinders all the time, and
what a shame. You see the disappointment washing over him.
That's really bad news for Craig. He had a bad run in France. We were really unlucky to go out of the lead of the WRC Academy. You know, he's come straight from there to here in the S2000 car, and you can see emotionally how much this means to him. He's a brilliant young driver. I hope they can get the car fixed. You know, 13 seconds isn't too much to lose. You could see some damage on the front of the car as well. It looked like he might have taken a big cut, but fingers crossed Breen's crew can get the car fixed and he'll be back for the final runs today.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see just how damaged it is. Remote service, don't forget, coming straight after this.
On board with Wilkes, it's not Mikkelsen that we're on board with. This is Phil Pugh's voice that you can hear. We're on board with the Peugeot UK 207 S2000.
So Wilkes is playing a waiting game, but finally we pick up Mikkelsen. Yeah, waiting to see how his rally turns out. Essentially hobbled, of course, on day 2. This is Mikkelsen, though. He's our rally leader, and if he's going around about 80%, he certainly does not look like it.
Neuville comes down towards the finish, and Mikkelsen continues towards what he hopes will be victory.
Well, Mikkelsen coming into this one with a cushion over Hannon, don't forget, of 48.5 seconds. Neuville crosses the line here, 5th quickest only, 22.8. Yes, I think he's giving an awful lot more respect to this surface, but he's had his issues.
You know, it's funny, coming into this stage, I think everyone thought Mikkelsen was safe, and having seen the drama we've seen in just 2 short stages, you know, it's a long way to go.
Take nothing for granted.
1 second per kilometer in this stage. What happened to you?
yeah, it goes quite slow. The pace notes was not perfect, and we had a spin on the stage before because there were big rocks on the stone. We hit them, and the car moves like 180 degrees, and okay, we lost a lot of time there. Now the rally is just for us to finish.
There we are, and to be honest, for some that will be a good result.
Yeah, he dropped from 2nd to 4th last night. He was 4th on stage 9. I don't know where he was on stage 10, but obviously he's had a problem there as well. So Neuville, decided he's going to go for a points haul.
Well, he's dropped down to 8th place after finishing 10 down the order in 26th place, losing over a minute after that spin, I'm afraid to say.
So second down to 8th in Carlton in a matter of only 3 stages.
Yeah, exactly. Anything can happen. And Hannanen coming on full charge here.
Well, this should be a proper benchmark then, shouldn't it? Hopefully he's had a trouble-free run. It looks like nobody has.
Looks in good nick as well. Here we go. This will say a lot to us. 13.5, fastest at the top. Now, if Mikkelsen doesn't finish in second place on this stage, his gap will be trimmed down to around about the 32nd mark, I would imagine. We'll see how he goes.
What a drive from Nakara there, second at the minute in a Group N car. Problems for other people, admittedly, but great for him.
Here we go.
You look like you are getting better and better because you just did the fastest time in the stage.
Okay, it was okay. On the maybe after 10 Ks I hit the rock over there. I thought I had a puncture, so after that it was very careful driving. But then when I finally realized that it was not a puncture, then on the end again I was a bit more faster. So a nice stage, very nice, hey.
Taking care, also found that rock.
Yeah, he did. It's hard there. Sometimes when you think you've got a puncture, you know, you don't want to stop and check. Obviously, you have to feel, and because the grip level is constantly changing, it's not always obvious whether or not you have. So he backed off for a while. He realised there wasn't a deflation, and he got back on it again.
Yeah, it's varying his pace to suit what he has in his hands. Same deal with Mikkelsen. But as you were saying earlier, Andrew, he just can't afford to back off too much, which is why this still looks extremely quick. You've got to keep your rhythm, and he's doing it beautifully. Let's watch. Oh, right now, you know, it's about keeping it clean.
It's a narrow section. You can see a lot of mud through there as well. Nervous time. You know, as I say, we're not in the full nerves yet. We'll be listening for every single noise on the car and just making sure that everything's okay. He's just got to get to the end.
Bouffier coming home after hitting that rock. Let's see what it did to his confidence.
And what it did to his car.
Yeah. Second quickest.
Doesn't look like he's got any problems, but I'll be willing to bet money that he'll mention it.
Seeing if there's anything unusual under the car. It looked all right. Let's have a word.
Brian, you are second in the stage, but you were very fast in the first part of the stage and lost some time at the end. What happened to you?
You know, against you, it's not possible. I try really to drive the stages. For me, maybe more difficult today. It's really difficult to find the grip. Okay, in the first stage, it was the same as a Friday evening, and I was not good on this stage, so I hope next year we will not have this stage. No, it's okay, you know, I try to drive well, I'll discover this stage, so... But, okay, we'll continue to push, but for sure against Juho, it's not possible.
There we are. I hope next year he says we won't have this stage. No mention of the rock.
No.
So kind of taking it in his stride.
Staggered, yeah. I mean, that was a really, really big hit. Obviously, not for Bouffier, no worries.
These guys.
he's so laid back, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is amazing. Amazing. Mikkelsen then coming to the end of his run here with insight for him.
Skoda UK have got a lot of guests here. I know the whole team's here as well. Andreas' mum was here yesterday. I don't know if she's still here today, but they will all be watching this with interest, I know.
You know, if he does go on to win this rally, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. He's taken some great steps forward this year. He's proved he's been on the pace again and again. Just missed out on a couple of victories. Maybe this is his turn. We'll see. This stage, though, not over yet by a long way, and this rally, likewise.
He's going to drop some time here. Let's see just how much he does drop.
Big question. 48 seconds was his cushion over Hannanen. Don't forget, coming into this one. Wow! Wow!
Okay, I think he's either got a problem or he's backed off too much there. That's 20 seconds. We could see what was a monster lead really cut down in half.
It's down to 28 seconds, the lead. Hannanen will love this.
Andreas, you lost 20 seconds to Anninen in this stage. You lost 20 seconds to Anninen in the stage. It looked difficult.
Yeah, it's a difficult stage, but it's one of those tricky stages where it can go fast, but then you need to be on the limit. But yes, we're not pushing so much. I mean, we still have more to go if we need.
You managed the rally, so?
Yes, so we try. It's not easy.
It's not easy at all. Don't forget, we're coming back here later on today. We're on board with Guy Wilkes, who's been selling some decent stage times. He's had his troubles earlier on today, however. The end of yesterday was looking quick, albeit way down the order after his off early in this rally.
I'm sorry he went off, really robbed us of what could have been an ace battle between Skoda UK and Peugeot UK. But at least he didn't retire. You know, he's here for day 2, and it's great to see him back out on the stages representing.
You know, this stage has been such a challenge that it could be the crucial one, the second run through it later on today, Andrew.
Yeah, massively. I mean, we've seen that, you know, the rock from Bouffier, you know, we joke that he took it calmly, that's fine, but, you know, the stage will become more cut up the second run through. Mikkelsen, to me, Carlton, you know, he didn't look as relaxed as he's looked before, and he was told it was 20 seconds. He hid it behind a smile, but he knows that's too much time to lose. He's backed off too much.
The head still dropped. He gave himself a moment while he just took off his balaclava, and then he thought about the PR side of things. Here comes Guy. There you go. What might have been, I think we might say.
Yeah, good time from Wilkes and Pugh.
16:44.
Very good time. So, Mikkelsen's lead over Hannon has been cut to just 28 seconds now. There are 4 stages remaining, don't forget. Stage 13, that's the second run through here, High Corrie, will be this afternoon. It'll be live on the Eurosport player.
How do you find the motivation to come back there after what happened to you yesterday?
It was very difficult because we had a puncture. We only had one spare tyre, and we had the puncture on the very first stage, so I had to be careful. And this stage, it was very tricky. Okay, we did a fairly good time, but the rhythm was not great in places. But that's what happens when you're not really fighting for anything.
You're the fastest of the Peugeot drivers. You're the fastest of the Peugeot drivers in this stage.
Yeah, okay, but I hope they can go quickly as well, because we want to be strong for the championship.
There we are, good boy. We'll take a break. We'll be back live here at High Corrie as the rest come through here. Back in a moment. Oh, what about that? What about that? Hannonen, Wilkes, Bouffier, they were the top 3 through the first run through High Corrie. Look at Mikkelsen in 5th place. It's a good run, take nothing away from him. But 20.4 seconds down on Hannonen, his nemesis. He still leads overall, Mikkelsen, but by a reduced margin. It's now 28.3. And, well, he said he was easing off. He can't afford to do that again.
Well, he's lost just under a second a kilometre there, Carlton, and we've got about 40 kilometres to go, so this is not over yet.
Absolutely not. Second run through Lochjon. Then we've got High Corrie again, and then who knows what might happen at Scone Palace tonight. Wow. If you want to keep in touch with it live, you'll have to go to the Eurosport player. That will be 14:45 Central European time. That is 1:45 in the United Kingdom. Their confirmation of how they stand overall at the moment. Yes, if you miss it or you can't get on the player, then you can see it tonight as it happened. 22:45 Central European time. That is 9:45 in the evening on Eurosport. It will be hold on to your sofa time. I'm loving this. So, great news for Dakar as well. Gardemeister starting to improve late on, but just look at the gaps as we get down to the top 10. 10th place Fischer is almost 5 minutes down.
Don't know whether or not Bogey's going to be able to continue, of course. We didn't see whether or not he's managed to get the car repaired. He came in with 3 wheels on the wagon.
So don't forget, you've got the player, or Eurosport International if you happen to be watching on the continent. You'll be able to see that live in Great Britain. You have to get on the player, or indeed head off and watch it on British Eurosport this evening. Check your listings, and hope you can enjoy it with us. I'm Carlton Kirby, alongside me Andrew Coley. We'll say farewell for now. See you later.